Welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage.
If you step away from your firm for a few days and everything slows down, stalls, or comes back to your desk, that's a sign that business depends too heavily on you.
And a lot of law firm owners accept this as normal, especially in those first few years.
Yeah, but over time, that dependency actually becomes the biggest barrier to growth.
And it keeps owners stuck in the middle of every decision, every problem, and every bottleneck.
So in this episode, we're breaking down what it actually means when a firm depends too much on the owner and how to start changing that without losing control or quality. Welcome to Lawyer Boss Life, the podcast where law firm owners learn to build profitable businesses and lead lives they love. I'm Alay, founder of Law Firm Success Group. I've helped hundreds of attorneys scale their firms, gain freedom, and take back their time.
And I'm Chelsea, law firm owner, entrepreneur, and toddler mom. I know it's possible to make excellent income, work 40 hours a week or less, and still take time off because that's what I do.
So when we talk about a law firm being owner dependent, why is that actually a bad thing, Chelsea?
Because the financials of the firm require that lawyer, that owner to bill to generate profit. And that's a really daunting task. I mean, every time I'm looking at my billable hours and the caseloads I'm dealing with, I go, that is that much less time that I have to actually run my business.
But putting on my devil's advocate hat here, isn't that what a lawyer is supposed to do is bill hours? So how can that possibly be a bad thing?
Because who's running the business? Right? I mean, reality, who's running the business? Because if you have, whether you're solo or in my mind, I'm always thinking about how you're delegating all of these tasks, but I'm in a partnership, so it's different. But if you're solo or in a partnership, certain things have to be done on a regular basis. Decisions have to be done. Hiring has to be done. And if you have to bill hours at a pretty high level to sustain the profitability of your firm, that means that those have to stay the same while you continue to load decision after decision. That is how people work 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week as a law firm owner.
Yeah, and if your firm depends on you, how can you possibly take time off? Chelsea, have you encountered attorneys who just are not able to take time off from their law firms?
Yeah, I mean, so often, I've had conversations and we're talking about, vacations or schedule, just chit chat amongst other lawyers that I know in the industry. And I go, oh, it's been 6 months since we've had time for a vacation caseload. Like everyone's getting divorced. I work in family law. Things are just so busy. Isn't your firm busy? And I was like, yeah, we're busy, but I'm going to Hawaii next week. Right. Because I've established a system within my firm to say, yeah, we're busy and my clients are getting attention, but that's not at a sacrifice of my time off, my peace, my family. And I really think a lot of the time, it just comes down to that fear, the fear of if I don't bill, I'm the owner, I'm the one whose name is on all the paperwork and on the, outside of the front door. If I don't bill, how can I guarantee that I'm going to keep the lights on? And I understand that to some extent. But it's a very lonely place to be when everything falls on you from a billable perspective.
Yeah, it is brutal. I mean, the practice of law is a high stress profession. You're making a tremendous difference in the lives of your clients,
Mhm.
but you are putting a lot on yourself when you're doing that. And I am always a little heartbroken when I'm talking to a potential client and they'll tell me, we'll talk about vacation. And they'll say, oh, yeah, I take 2 weeks of vacation every year. I say, okay, well, tell me about those 2 weeks. What does that actually look like? And they say, well, it's great. Like we go to Hawaii. I bring my computer, and I work in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I spend a couple of hours on the beach, and then come back and do some more work at night. My family's having a good time, so it's okay. And so then I have to kind of re-educate them that that's not actually a real vacation. A real vacation is where you can step away from the day to day in your practice and you can allow yourself to mentally recharge and reset. And that is so important for your well-being and your quality of life, not only for yourself, but with those relationships that really matter to you. And I see this happening all the time. I love your point, Chelsea, about how there's fear about, who's gonna keep the lights on. How are we gonna make money? The other thing I see too is how are they gonna make sure the work is done right? And
Mhm.
this is what they share with me a lot when we talk about hiring and delegation is they say, look, uh, I got to make sure the work's done properly. My name is on the door. The work has to be done right. I'm the only one that can do it right. And it would take me actually more time to find someone, train someone, and then supervise them to make sure they're doing the work right. So I may as well just do it myself. Um, is that something you've heard before, Chelsea?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking through some examples as you were saying that, in the sense that I can understand that feeling, right? My name's on it. And at the end of the day, if you're the law firm owner and the lead attorney, it is on you. But I also think there's an unrealistic expectation that our lawyers are perfect, and that associates who may make, I don't want to necessarily say a mistake. That's not the right word, but things aren't done to a certain caliber or could have been done better. That is really kind of the job. And it happens in every industry, right? People need to learn. They need to have that on them in order to grow and do better. And if you are so worried about handing over the reins on some legal work, then and also handing over the reins on just administrative day-to-day decision making, what an unbelievable burden in your in on an hourly basis, right? To have on one person or two people who run a law firm. So I take it from this approach. I go, look, I have an obligation to provide quality legal services, and under the code, competent legal services to my clients who hire me, right? They hire me, but they know they hire their firm. I've got my hands in all sorts of things, and I've trained my team to do a great job. I've hired people who have proven that they can do this job. I've got to let them try. For the most part, things can be managed, right? There's lots of ways to manage things that aren't done perfectly, right? In the background, whatever that is. Every kind of law firm knows kind of what those push and pull points are. But then you also have to think about the day to day decision making that you have to have, right? Like, I don't need to decide what kind of paper towels we're ordering. I don't need to decide what snacks go in our pantry. That's our team, right? I don't need to decide like when we're paying this court report, like just deal with the vendors. So there's so many different ways that we can unburden ourselves as law firm owners and still make sure the quality of the firm is to the caliber as if you were doing it yourself. So I can understand the fear, right? Because it is your name. I'm paying the insurance. Something goes wrong. It is on me at the end of the day. It's my reputation. But I wouldn't have hired the people that I have. I wouldn't have trusted them and delegated tasks if I didn't think that they were capable of it. Which has empowered them to be the best versions of their themselves as professionals, and allowed me to lay on a beach uninterrupted for 6 hours. Right? That is the push and pull that we're talking about here.
It is, and there's a lot of psychology that goes into this mindset. So we're gonna dive into that here a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of lawyers, and I am generalizing here, kind of wear their profession on their sleeve. It's not their job, it's their calling, it's who they are. It's wrapped up in their identity is wrapped up in being a lawyer and being a really good one. And so they almost wear it as a badge of honor by saying, you know what? I don't let my clients down. My clients get me. I'm not taking time off. I'm here for my clients. And they kind of position, in a way, they almost hide behind two things. One is being always there for their clients because they're the only people who can really help their clients. And two, making sure the work gets done right by doing it themselves. And
Mhm.
both of those things have got kind of a hero complex built into it and a little bit of a martyr complex built into it. Like, I'm going to be here for everybody. I'm going to take this all on myself. I'm going to do all of this. Um, but, and I mean this with all the love in the world, to all of you that are listening and watching, it's a little bit lazy. I mean, it's the easy way out. It is much harder to say, you know what, I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to have a wonderful life. I'm going to make a great income, and I'm going to actually approach this as a law firm with boundaries that are going to serve me. That is much, much more difficult to do. It's far easier to hide behind client demands and quality of work than it is to go put up boundaries, systems, and people so that your firm serves you. But even though it's a harder road, I would argue the rewards are totally worth it. I don't know. What do you think, Chelsea? I know I'm coming down kind of hard on this one.
No, I think you're right. And I'm also going to be a little harsh in the sense that nobody really cares. Meaning, you do your job, you live your life, and you die, and no one remembers you. And
Oh my
that's
gosh.
my philosophy. But listen, hear me out. Hear me out. Is I'm creating a life that only I get to experience, right? I have a child, I have a husband, I have all these things I want to do in the short life that we have. And whatever, impact I want to leave on the world, we don't really leave a legacy. The average person doesn't leave some huge mark on the world. That doesn't mean that you don't leave a huge mark on the people in your circle in your life, but that is a small group of people. Um, and the reason I'm using this example is because of kind of what you said about, oh, I go to bat for my clients. I'm going to put in all these hours. That hero complex, it's about feeling like they are leaving their mark, and they're just not. But that doesn't mean what we're doing isn't important. We want to provide quality services. We want to be good lawyers. We want it all to kind of mean something, but it has to mean something for your life, not something else out there, not for everyone else's outside validation. So if you aren't having a happy, balanced life, getting the income that you think you deserve, and spending time with your family so that you can say that this was all worth something, then I don't really understand what the end goal is, because I honestly believe that, the average person really doesn't leave much of a legacy, and that's not to be a downer. That just means my legacy and what I'm focused on is this lovely life that I get to have, the memories I get to enjoy. So at the end of my life, I can look back and say, I lived a full life. I happened to be a lawyer during my career, and I made good money, and I had great clients, but that's this fraction. So I think what you're saying is really important for law firm owners to understand, is that you have to find a way to find the right balance of, this is a job. And a lot of people say this as a calling for like teachers, because on the flip side of this, teachers work really hard and their incomes don't necessarily reflect that hard work, but it can be a calling for them, so they're willing to do it. I do understand that pull. I have seen people do that, but in in some regard, you have to reflect on, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to make more money so you can provide for your family? Are you trying to make more money so you can take more time off or afford to travel? What is it, right? So I don't know that there's one answer for everyone. The way that I just described it again is a little bit morbid, but it's meant to just say, I'm focused on having a full life, and I'm not going to be bogged down with what everybody else thinks about me or what I could possibly leave behind after I'm gone.
And
That's
because
just how I viewed it, I guess.
no, I really appreciate you bringing this up because it really is, a little bit of a wake up call.
Hmm.
I'm sure you've all heard of this before, right? No one on their deathbed ever said to the people that were there with them, "Hey, I wish I had a chance to work more," right? That never comes out. It's all about how I wish I had more time with family, how I wish I had more time with friends, how I wish I got and had this experience or that experience. Working more never cracks the list,
No.
even once.
Yep.
And so I really appreciate you bringing that up. And your point about teachers is well taken, because teachers actually take time off. You know, nurses take time off. Firefighters, law enforcement, they take time off. Doctors can also take time off. They don't always, but a lot of them do. Um, Accountants take time off. But
Mhm.
lawyers, it's a lot tougher for them to take time off for some reason.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and I think we're kind of diving into a lot of those things. So let's shift off the psychology and let's shift over to, some signs that the firm is depending on you unnecessarily. So Chelsea, as you've grown your firm, you've delegated a lot of things. What were some of the things that you realized right away? Oh my gosh, the firm doesn't need to depend on me for this.
Yeah, I really started with some of the kind of baseline intake processes that I had my hands in a lot. That was kind of the first one, coming up with a very specific intake system for how clients get onboarded, and allowing one person to take that on. That was kind of the first thing, the first way I realized that even the way I was doing it was not the best way, and I hired somebody who was better at that process than me, and that took a lot off our plate. The second place that we looked at and took off our plate was essentially we don't serve or email anything ourselves as the lawyers. We really put that on all the admin. That can take a couple seconds here and there, but the compiling, the emailing, the service, none of our lawyers do that. Our admin staff do that because that takes more off so we can focus on the lawyering. Those are little ways. And then the other way was empowering my admin staff to take on all the vendors. So I used to be the one calling to get rates and approving certain things for printer leases or process servers, or even our internet. When we switched internet service or IT, I gave that all to my admin staff, and I say, look, here's the budget I think is reasonable. Go get me proposals. Tell me what you think based on your conversation. I'll let you know if I have any questions. But most of the vendors we have, I've let my team decide because they're the ones working with it. And if I think that there's a problem for some reason or feel strongly, I might get involved as the business owner. But realistically, I am not the one dealing with those things on a regular basis. Yes, I'm paying the bill. And so I give them a budget. I let them go with it. Now, there's 10 other ways that I could say that I've
Oh yeah,
delegated
we could go on this, but
on and on. But those are the three that really were ones I didn't think about before. And all of a sudden I'm like, I trust my team to just take
yeah.
care of things.
Yeah. And this is what this podcast is all about, really. It's all about that lawyer boss life. You are a lawyer boss. And because of that, you are having a really phenomenal life. And that's what we want for everybody who's tuning into the podcast. We want you to take control of your firm, make those difficult decisions to make sure your firm serves you, and then implement what you hear on this podcast to really build an amazing firm that's going to give you an amazing life.
Mhm.
So if you want help reducing dependency the firm has on you and building a law firm that runs smoothly without everything flowing through you, you can book a strategy call on our website at lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. And if this episode sparked new ideas, please like, subscribe, and share it with a lawyer who might need it. We love hearing how you're building your lawyer boss life.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.